Fellow rabbit hole dwellers, welcome back to yet another week here at Rabbit Hole Stories. Joel and I have got the pleasure of speaking with Roland Bewick, and you're part of the Alby team. Is that right, bro?
That's right.
Mate, it's a pleasure to have you, and I want to hear what's going on over at Alby. But as it says on the tin here at Rabbit Hole Stories, we want to know how you discovered Bitcoin. When was it? What was it about it that captured your interest? And then, let's just talk all things Bitcoin, bro. Where did you start with it?
Awesome. First off, thanks Ian and Joel for having me on. I'm actually quite a, what do you call it? Late bloomer. So I only got into Bitcoin around COVID, which I guess a lot of people got woke up at that point, right? So I'm from New Zealand, Wellington originally. I've been programming for about 20 years now. So I'm just a developer. But I was never really truly happy back at home. Like I went to university and worked my way up from, a junior developer, intermediate, and then kind of saved up some money and decided, I was kind of lucky. The project I was working on was shutting down. So I decided, okay, I'm going to just go overseas for a bit and live off my savings and try to figure out what to do next. And so I came to Thailand, and I've actually been here 6 years now. But I only really discovered Bitcoin after COVID. And for me, I think during my whole life, things have not really made sense. I'm not the smartest guy, and especially at primary school, I didn't do great at all. I kind of looking back, and I feel like there was a lot of strange stuff that happened, at government schools, and like, the grooming and stuff. Even then, I'm pretty, well, it can only be worse now, right? But you'll probably have to cut this out. I lost my train of thought.
That's right, bro, man. There's a lot to remember, man, because when you ask somebody, well, what's your rabbit hole story? How'd you get in Bitcoin? Where the hell do you start?
Yeah, during COVID, I kind of got stuck in Chiang Mai. It was definitely not as bad as some places I've heard, but there were curfews. It was the middle of burning season. Quite a few places were shut down, couldn't really move around. And this was kind of the first time I considered, like, what is the state? How does it have this power? How does the world have this power to just shut down every country? And also, what is money? Of course, I was learning Thai at the time, and I pretty luckily stumbled across this YouTube channel, CDC Bitcoin Talk, which is run by the most popular Thai Bitcoin influencer here. So I was learning Thai and getting orange pilled by this guy together. And the great thing about this show is he doesn't just go into like the technical parts of Bitcoin and it definitely not so much about trading or anything like that, but just like the global impact of what Bitcoin means, right? Like fix the money, fix the world sort of thing, how all the topics you could ever imagine, philosophy, the introduction of passports and what does that mean to, free travel and all these topics that just absolutely blew my mind, because I had taken everything for granted, right? Like I didn't know what inflation was. I didn't know what the dollar was. I just knew that this money was something that I had to earn and spend. Same with the government, right? It's like it's always been here, always will, sort of thing. You don't really question it much, and that's going back to like the schools I was talking about before. Like they don't teach you anything which is actually useful to have a good life, basically. So, so this was actually quite a painful couple of years, like kind of having to break down all that conditioning that I've gone through my whole life, and then kind of build things up from the ground. but at the same time, it was so freeing understanding like why the world is so messed up, right? And also like finding a true passion, which is joining the battle. One of the pioneers actually trying to fix it. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I kind of got started experimenting with Bitcoin and Lightning. Since I'm a programmer, started building a few of my own apps, and then joined a hackathon called Bolt Fun, which runs a hackathon about once a year. And the team I was in, we ended up winning the prize of 1 Bitcoin. And one of the guys on my team worked for Alby, and that's kind of how I joined the Alby team and started working on Alby products. So yeah, but a lot of pretty lucky things. It kind of feels like, fate, I guess, right place at the right time, and also putting in a lot of work, of course, in creating those opportunities. But yeah, sometimes it amazes me. Yeah, just sometimes the actions of a few people can completely change your life, right? So it's interesting to look back on.
I'm interested that 1 Bitcoin you guys got. Did you, because you now being in Lightning, did you allocate a lot of that to Lightning? Did you say like, let's do a split between people can hodl a portion and do whatever they want with the other portion, or how or have you used it for development?
Yeah, and I want to know like how that all came about and what like tell me a bit more about that competition as well.
Sure. Yeah. So when I was learning about Bitcoin and Lightning, I was quite inspired by Stacker News. If you guys know, like the Reddit clone, but you pay to upvote rather than just an empty uplight, right? So you put your money where your mouth is, and I was quite interested also with the What Is Money show, Michael Saylor, and a few of his ideas about preventing spam and bots, and the way you can truly do this is through paying a money that you can't fake and that you can't print, which is Bitcoin, of course. So I was on Second News, and Juan, who came up with this idea, LightSats is the project that we worked on. So he posted this idea. He does a lot of affiliate marketing. He's not highly technical. So he was looking for some team members, and me and Rene from Alby, we saw his post, and we jumped in and said, hey, we might help you. And because I had done some experiments with Bitcoin and Lightning in my spare time, I thought, actually, I kind of know what I need to do to make this possible. And so we built a prototype within 3 days, and it was actually worked quite well. It fit the kind of initial idea of what Juan had planned, and then we really refined it, and we added a bunch of features, scoreboards, and better ways to invite people, and email and SMS links that you can just basically send someone a tip in Bitcoin, and they will get onboarded. They'll get shown how to download their first Lightning wallet, withdraw the sats from the tip to their wallet, and then get started doing their first transaction. So you asked about the reward. So Bolt Fun creates these rewards and at least in my opinion, for 2 reasons. One, to incentivize the initial development and competition, of course, of these hackathons, and to get more people into the Lightning space, but also to enable the developers to keep working on the project afterwards. So that's what we did. Actually, we split the reward in 4. 25% actually goes to the Lightning liquidity of our node, which is running the service, and the other 3 are split between us. I have not spent a single sat of that. It's been about 2 years now, so just hodling. and we, even after the competition finished, we worked on it a lot. We introduced quite a new features, some gamification, and quite a few achievements, which actually taught the tippers themselves all the different ways you can use LightSats to tip people, and also learn more about Bitcoin as the tipper. So not just as the person being tipped, but as the tipper, you learn about all these cool things that Bitcoin and Lightning can do. And so we had great fun with that. And I think today there's been a few other technologies that are really interesting, which could basically make LightSats obsolete. But it's still running even today. People use it. We have one game in New Zealand, this Orange server. I think it's this game called Rust, and basically they use it to onboard new people into Bitcoin. So everyone who plays this game, they can like earn these tips by playing the game, and they get their first Bitcoin, and they can withdraw it, and then get a wallet, and learn about Bitcoin and Lightning, and I just think that's so cool. I think to date we've onboarded thousands of people to Bitcoin and Lightning. Just doing a small part is I'm just really happy to have this opportunity.
Mate, that's an awesome story, and it's more than a small part, because I think like developers within Bitcoin don't get like pumped up enough sometimes. So mate, you like the whole development side of things is something I've got much respect for. It's like a completely alien language to me, but it's people like you that make it stronger and come up with these new ways of using Bitcoin for making it easier for everybody to use and to sort of educate people, man. So much respect about that. And all this time I
actually go on. Sorry, I think your guys' role is just important, because if you remember, I was kind of orange pilled by basically a guy doing the same sort of thing as you guys are doing, and that's what I think about. We are building like a brand new world, a brand new city, and we need everyone to take part, no matter what they can do, right? No matter what their skill is, like as long as they're motivated and want to make the world a better place with Bitcoin, they can find something to do, right? There's an infinite number of ways you can improve Bitcoin.
Mate, 100%. And it's I mean, once you understand Bitcoin and the significance of it, if that's not incentive enough to try and contribute in some way to your skill set or whatever you want to do, or to step outside your comfort zone a little bit and just sort of push the boundaries just to sort of educate people on Bitcoin, we've all got a part to play. You're absolutely right. So I appreciate that feedback in return. And I'm very curious, because you're not the first person we spoke to who lives in Thailand, and it would be silly for us not to ask, what's going on with Bitcoin in Thailand? What's adoption like? Is there much appetite for from people to be educated in it?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. The regulation side of things is not very favorable. Like if you as a business want to accept Bitcoin, you can, but basically the banks will punish you if you need any. You need to open a bank account. You need to do certain things. You'll probably get denied. It's not too favorable, but at the same time, there's a huge Bitcoiner community, especially with the introduction of Nostr. I think we have one of the most popular hashtags, which is Siamstra, which is like the old name for Thailand, Siam. And yeah, this community of Thai people just post every day, like hundreds of people on Nostr doing this hashtag. And yeah, I can read Thai and interact with these Bitcoiners in Thailand, and it's so cool. I actually just came back from Chiang Mai, where there was a brand new Bitcoin Learning Center that opened. So a 3-story Bitcoin Learning Center that's open all day. They have a couple couple of employees who'll go there, and you go enter for free, and you can chat with them, learn a bit about Bitcoin. They already knew about Bitcoin beforehand, and then did other 300 hours of like reading books, watching videos, getting the full Bitcoin introduction. And it's also going to be there for like teaching Thai students from university. It's another thing, because the universities don't actually allow you to teach Bitcoin because it's not part of the official curriculum.
Wow.
So yeah, there are quite a few like roadblocks, but Thai people are finding ways around it. And actually, the other thing is I'm just about to leave in a couple of days for the Thailand Bitcoin conference, which is fully sold out. Last year I went as well. Every single seat was taken all day long. Like no one left their seats. They just loved it. Like this time I think over 650 people, fully sold out. Last time about 400. Yeah, just because I've been to like crypto conferences, right? And you see like someone will go in and make their talk, and then they'll just leave the conference. Like they don't care at all. They just go for the advertisement, right? And then you see Bitcoin, like people really go to support each other and the whole cause, right? So it's super awesome. I can't wait, actually. Yeah, it's gonna be a great weekend.
For me, it's always hard to so as a European to imagine that you have a lot of regime power. Let's call it this way. Like before we started the call, you said you're close to like Myanmar, whatever it's called these days. And from our perspective, it's always Bitcoin is there to help these kind of these citizens, because they can get around and basically hold on to their own possessions. And you've mentioned Nostr. So I'm now curious, would you say the adoption of Bitcoin more driven because of people want to break free, own something themselves, distribute information, or is it something totally different? Like, tech savvy people just want to dive down the rabbit hole. Or am I completely missing the boat? Is it maybe something totally different?
No, I think it is mostly about monetary freedom. But I think the Thai culture and community was really enabled by Nostr, because before that, there was split on Facebook or Discord or a few other places, and I think there's a lot of boundaries, and you have to be careful what you say and all these things. And I think Nostr is, like I said, with LightSats, how you can tip people. Nostr is just it's so much more natural. It's the best testing ground for your first payment sent and received, because it's all integrated into this app, right? You just create your profile with one click. You don't need to give any information about yourself. You get set up with a wallet, and you can receive and you can send sats. People really see like what we're trying to make possible, right? With Bitcoin and Lightning, and sending sats to and back and forward without a TikTok or a YouTube taking a 30% cut out of every transaction and saying you don't follow the community guidelines or whatever it is. So I think Nostr does take a big part in making this possible.
Man, that's nice to hear as well, because you often hear from what I hear in the content I consume is stuff is like Nostr is like this additional thing that's come about because of Bitcoin, but what I think is now connected for me now is that actually there's a need for it to be part of the actual adoption of Bitcoin at the same time in regions where they don't have the same sort of freedoms with communication and access to banks and internet and stuff like that. If there's a protocol out there that they can go on to participate, that's awesome as well. So yeah, that's really, really sort of encouraging to hear, and I'm glad that Nostr is enabling people to sort of like not only understand Bitcoin more, but obviously to be able to communicate without sort of being shut down and silenced because of whatever oppressive regime they're living in. So that's really cool to hear as well.
Yeah, and I think one other thing that's they're very similar is that you take responsibility for your key, right? So you take responsibility for your money and you take responsibility for your social profile. No one can take you down. You have to take care of that private key, but what that means is no one can impersonate you, right? So it's super powerful. I think these two just, and Nostr just recently, right, with Twitter being banned in Brazil, it's becoming more important every day.
100%, man. And I just wanted to sort of also acknowledge about the tone of the Bitcoin conferences. And yeah, you're totally right. If there's like any other conference, you get people just turning up, doing their bit, sort of plug in their product and off you go. But Bitcoin conferences, you go there's a whole sort of like community get together, you know, people who have just been on stage are just part of the whole sort of understanding of what Bitcoin is and what it represents. And like, no matter what you might have an opinion about, one thing we do agree on is Bitcoin. So it's nice to sort of see that kind of culture still building outside of, you know, areas in Europe or the US, that actually it's just part of the way Bitcoin incentivizes us to sort of participate with each other, right?
Definitely.
And one question I got for you as well is like, yes, you got into Bitcoin around the time of COVID, like you know, a whole host of people did, and you were kind of in between projects as well at the same time. And I'm just wondering, what was it that captured your interest in the first instance about Bitcoin, and like, how did you first sort of understand that maybe this is worth sort of going down a rabbit hole?
Yeah, I won't lie. I had some savings, and because of COVID, our business kind of also shut down the startup that I was working at, and I was kind of motivated by where can I put my savings basically that is going to get a better return than like 0.1% or whatever it is these days. So yeah, I started looking at you know, traditional stocks and then crypto as a whole, and then I just realized that in both cases I didn't know enough. I didn't have enough time to understand all these different companies and all these different tokens or coins or whatever, and it just felt like gambling to me. So that's and it's kind of interesting that people always, you know, say Bitcoin and the king of crypto or whatever, you know, that's what the shitcoiners say, and that kind of said something to me, and I thought, why is that? And that's kind of when I started doing a bit more research about Bitcoin over the other ones, and going down the rabbit hole. Yeah, slowly understanding about money, about how the financial system works. Yeah, so it kind of went from there.
We're both having trouble getting our mics off.
I was just about to say the same thing.
Joel, please.
You know, I think it's interesting. Mostly we hear that people obviously got in, you know, number go up, let's say, because it is the most easiest way, right? Like, you're trying to make money, you sort of come for the money, save for the revolution. But what I especially like, because we covered Nostr before, and you're part of Alby, through your Bitcoin journey, through landing at Alby, basically winning the competition, getting to know Lightning, getting deeper into it, now at Alby, are there also sort of branches where you sort of drift off and where you go like, oh, maybe for now, Nostr is just more interesting for me because as a dev, I can play around with the protocol? Or is it always going to be like Bitcoin focused, but you then see these new trends emerging and try to touch base whether you like it or not.
Well, I do have a bunch of interests. I think Alby as a whole, of course, we're about accelerating Bitcoin as the native currency of the internet and the world. And Nostr actually does play a part there, and especially the interaction between Bitcoin and Nostr, how these two open protocols can work together to make something even better, which is one of the things we spend a lot of time on and which powers our latest products. So, I mean, Nostr is it's the same with Bitcoin. They are both just huge ecosystems, right? And what I work on is only a small slice of both. I still don't know everything about how the Lightning system works. Alby actually works kind of a layer on top of that, a bit more on connecting apps to Lightning wallets and how the seamless interaction works. And same with Nostr, like there's all these different kinds and communities and all these efforts. It's a huge ecosystem, and we only have so much time in the day, and we choose a few projects that we work on that we think will have the maximum impact. So for now, that's building our latest product, Alby Hub and Alby Go, the new mobile app we're working on, as well as creating a bunch of developer tools and APIs which make it easier for other developers to build on the Lightning and Bitcoin ecosystem.
Yeah, man, Alby's cool, man. I like Alby. It's a nice, easy interface. It's not complicated to use. And, obviously that's what makes it appealing, right? And, to integrate it into protocols like Nostr as well, like that's the way forward. Like it's nice to see how, the ecosystems are kind of merging and growing together and incentivizing each other to kind of, evolve into something, but who knows what is going to sort of become in the future, right? Because like we're in the early stages of something quite new, and it's an exciting thing to observe and how it sort of expands and grows. And I'm just wondering whether Alby's got anything up its sleeve coming up that we could be looking forward to, or is it just like a continual sort of working towards developing more and more as we understand more about this protocol?
Well, the latest thing is we are migrating our users to Alby Hub, which is a sovereign, self-custodial wallet, fully open source. And this is powered by Nostr Wallet Connect, which is another open protocol for connecting apps to wallets. So our idea is kind of that you have one wallet that you use in your everyday life, and you connect it to all the applications that you use in your daily life. Your social apps, maybe your simple wallet interface, which is Alby Go, the new product we're working on, which you can actually compare very closely to something like Wallet of Satoshi, which a lot of people use today, and they feel guilty about doing it, but you can't blame them, right? Because it's so simple, it just works, it's great, right? And that's kind of what we're trying to do, but on a self-custodial level. And with this transition, we've actually encountered a few challenges, because as easy as we are trying to make Alby Hub, and the feedback we've heard so far is great, it's way easier than any other self-custodial wallet and super powerful. But you couldn't get your grandma or your little kid to install an Alby Hub, and that's why we're actually we've been researching this new idea, which is becoming an Uncle Jim, and basically you can share your node with a bunch of your friends and family members. And so we are launching thousands of new self-custodial wallets for people, and then each of these can onboard 10 or more of their friends and family who they trust, to be able to use the liquidity. And what they get is they can start with Alby Go, this super simple wallet of Satoshi style app, but it's powered by your node. It's not powered by some, centralized node with thousands and thousands of users. And I think this is making a huge impact to decentralization of the Lightning Network. So this is kind of what we're working on lately, and also seeing how Alby Hub can be even more easily integrated into different apps. For example, Damus and Amethyst, which we've seen we think these apps are just going to increase Bitcoin adoption over time significantly, and they already have. I can go back to before we made this decision about a year ago now, and Alby was doing great. We were having over 1 million transactions per month. I think Alby as a company was processing one of the most number of transactions as a Lightning service. And we grew too fast, basically, and we had to make the decision. We could go down the KYC route and get the money transmitter licenses and all their things, or we could choose the self-sovereign route and give everyone open source tools and technology running on open protocols. They own their own keys to their own coins, and they don't have to do KYC, and that's the path we chose. So it's been a lot of work over the last year, and we've had to really slow things down while we've done this transformation. But now we're ramping up, and we have a much better, stronger foundation. So I'm really excited to see where Alby Hub and Alby as a company is going to go in the future.
Yeah, and especially if you're a Bitcoin business, you sort of have to do this decision. Am I going to soft comply with the regulatory frameworks and worlds we're in? Working at Relay, this is what we essentially have to do, especially if you're a brokerage, because it's just so hard these days to basically get it the self-sovereign way where people don't have to do the AML checks, the KYC checks, and all of that stuff. Or do you sort of, as again said, soft comply and offer a service, but then allow people to dive down deeper? Or do it your guys' way, which is then also harder to then obviously, get to as many people as possible, because a lot of people unfortunately still read like open source and they think, ooh, techie immediately. Whereas if you actually use Alby, you do realize like, oh, this is not super techie. This is actually very well designed. It's super cool to use. Plus you have all of the bells and whistles with like the overview of like what you can do with the Nostr stuff, all of the sites you can connect to, log in with Lightning and all of these things. So yeah, from my end, really also big thanks, because I also use Alby to, get onto Nostr. So that's also great to have. I'm definitely excited for the web app, the mobile app, sorry. Would you say that's been like one of the most requested features for you guys, to launch a mobile app or to have a mobile companion for people?
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of people have actually said, like, when Alby Mobile, they said, we need an Alby Mobile app. And then when you ask them, what does that mean? Because if you think of the extension, which is the first Alby product, and it was designed to create these seamless app to wallet interactions. So you go on a site like Stacker News and you click one button and you make a payment, or you don't even have to click any buttons. Everything can be automated. This is completely different from your standard Lightning wallet, where the normal flow is that you would scan a QR code and then make a payment, and then you would switch to another app, and there's a lot of context switching. It's not seamless. So what is Alby Go? We decided just to really make it as the simplest wallet. So it doesn't do anything special. It sends and receives money. It doesn't interact with other apps, but actually that's what Alby Hub is all about. So Alby Hub is this amazing, super powerful interface which has a wallet embedded in it, or you can connect to an external wallet. If you run Umbrel or Start9, you can connect to your existing LND node. The default setup though is that you have an internal node just running already built in, and you can set up app connections for all your different apps. You can set budgets, permissions, expiry dates. You have full control over what other apps can do with your wallet, how they communicate. So yeah, we're kind of taking the approach that Alby Hub will be kind of like your control center, and then you'll have all these little kind of like micro apps, and that's kind of the same as Nostr as well. That you bring your own client. You, no matter where you go, you keep your identity, your follower list, but you can choose your client. And it's the same with these Lightning powered apps, is that they can all connect to your wallet, but they can be optimized for a very certain task. And this I think is a really powerful feature. It keeps all these apps simple. It's a very different design to, the super apps that you see, like Twitter, that's going to become the super app, and then you have the wallet built in, and then all your daily needs, and the WeChat. Basically, they're going to make the WeChat of America, right? So, which I think is completely unsustainable unless you have a huge amount of capital like they do, right? But I think in the end, these super simple apps that connect over open protocols are going to win. They're just so much simpler to maintain and build and build upon, and people can focus on what is their unique feature of their app. What's their unique selling point, right? Rather than trying to build this huge, massive app and trying to get everyone into like their closed ecosystem. It's not possible. And I think this really encompasses what Bitcoin is about, right? It's about this open programmable money and all the possibilities. It's not who you know and who your friends are, and if you have the right banking licenses, and if you can interact with the banking system and all this stuff. And normal everyday people who just want to build an app, they cannot access the banking system like that. You have to be some giant company to do it. Whereas Bitcoin, even just a hobbyist in a couple of days in the weekend can build some app that does something cool and share it with your community, and then other people build on top of it. And it's just this escalating exponential growth, right, of all these open ideas that people take the parts they like and add something new and then publish it, and people contribute to it and find issues and report bugs and all these things. It's and same with Alby Hub and the Alby extension. We have over 100 contributors who come in and they just report bugs or create pull requests and contribute because it's something they find valuable. They are happy to do this, right? So it's really awesome being able to build in the open like this, fully open source.
Roland, man, you're just leaving me bullish, man, because like you're right in the sense that when you got this big, huge thing with all its bells and whistles, like simple is always best, right? Uncomplicated, it's no frills. It just does what you need it to do. And also like the building of the expansion of these protocols, and there's something waiting for people when they want to make that choice, right? To once they start to feel the grip of centralization, tight enough for them to feel uncomfortable that, you've been doing all this work in the background with all your dev colleagues and stuff, just sort of building this infrastructure for them. And the more you build, the more attractive it looks. And mate, I'm so bullish on everything you said, man. And but I'm also conscious that we're running towards the end of the show, and you must have obviously everyone has the all roads lead back to Bitcoin. And here at Rabbit Hole Stories, we love to test that theory by giving our guests a word or phrase as a bit of a challenge to try and relate that word or phrase back to Bitcoin somehow. And Joel and I just beforehand thought, okay, we've got Roland on he works a lot of Alby, and we came up with the word beehive. And we're wondering if you can relate beehive back to Bitcoin somehow, Roland.
It's weird because we name one of our products, I guess, after the Hive. Like we have a Hive newsletter.
Cool.
and definitely the community feeling, right, of joining this beehive, of the people using Alby, using and spending, receiving Bitcoin, and building on top of it. I think also, like, if you can expand it further in the future, we have, like, I was just so impressed the other day with this Bitcoin Learning Center, and then you take it another step, and then these Bitcoin citadels, right? And the separation of, the money in state, these state powers are going to collapse, and we're going to have all these citadels and Bitcoin learning centers and all this hope and freedom, and going to a place that competes for you to live there and provide whatever service that you provide when you live in that place. So I think all this can relate to the beehive, and joining a community that actually cares about you rather than being some sort of slave or sheep of the state, or like it is, that that YouTube video where you're just one of the rats that is part of the rat race. I forgot the name, but yeah, just making you as an individual have a truly fulfilling life. I think this is what Bitcoin enables. Once we remove all the tools, and I think the main one is the state's ability to print money without creating any economic outcome, right? It just completely inverts the incentive structure, which Bitcoin aims to fix.
Nice. I think that's we've always proven that all roads lead back to Bitcoin, and I feel like we get more difficult with the words, but the explanations get better. So there's definitely a connection there. Roland, if people have questions, if they want to follow up or just say hi, where's the best place to find you online?
We have an Alby Discord. If you're interested in anything Alby, join our community. You can also find me at roland@getalby.com. I'm on Nostr. Just search for Roland. I only post on Nostr. I don't post on Twitter. So nice. Yeah, you'll find me. Join Nostr for sure. Anyone who is holding back, give it another go. It's improved a lot.
That is true. It really has improved. And we'll definitely link all of Roland's profiles and the stuff he's mentioned in the episode below. So make sure to check the show notes. Roland, I want to thank you because it's probably getting very late over your time. So I think it's time for you to go down and have a good night's sleep. And also, as always, I want to thank all of our listeners for taking their time, giving us the most precious asset on planet Earth, which is time. And as always, guys, you have to stay curious.